Wait! Get back! So Paul McCartney, or Macca, is back. Now and Then is the Beatles' latest release, and I thought it'd be a good time to do a video on Paul McCartney's accent.
That's great.
In fact, we're going to do his accent in 6 tricks. Plus, I'll be comparing my accent to his, as he is from the north of England and I am from the south of England. Okay, so now time for the question. How does he say this word? You'll have to watch the video to find out. So trick 1 is where he grew up. So to truly appreciate Paul's accent, we first need to understand its roots.
Some of these great writers, George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin.
Now, Paul definitely has a Scouse or Liverpool accent, but importantly, he was raised in the southern part of the city. Now, I've named Paul's accent Refined Northern, so he doesn't have a broad Scouse accent like, for example, John Bishop.
I decided to go back and do A-levels at the school,
who I recently did a video on, and I'll put the link in the description for you to watch that. Trick 2 is your education. So Paul went to what's called a grammar school. Now in some parts of the country we still have grammar schools, which are schools that you need to pass an entrance exam to get into. And that's what Paul did. So he was clearly driven and obviously talented, but also I think he wanted to keep a refined accent during his grammar school days as well. Okay, now it's time to check an audio file, and then we'll look at trick 3, which are his accent features.
There's a musical brain and there's also a literate brain. I go, oh, that's a good trick, because you've been trying tricks like that yourself, and it comes back and you go, that's great. And I was talking to someone about that. I said, that's one of the things I love about that song. They said, well, you did that in Here, There and Everywhere.
Okay, so firstly, listen to how he says brain in the first clip.
There's a musical brain.
He says it like me, brain, with a diphthong sound, which is unlike some northern accents which say it like this, brain. Do you hear? It's more of a monophthong sound or a single sound, but he uses the same as me there. Let's listen to how he says trick and back.
Trick, back.
Now the k sound in words in the Scouse accent can be pronounced like a h sound, which is this symbol here. But Paul clearly says trick with a regular k sound, right?
Trick.
But listen to how he says back.
Back.
To me, it's a little merge of the h and the k, okay?
Back.
So it's a very interesting way of pronouncing that word that he's got. And that makes him Paul McCartney. He is unique. Okay, let's go now to that and great. Now here he tends not to pronounce the t sound at the ends of words.
Like that.
He prefers using the glottal stop instead, but even that is weak. So it turns out that great almost sounds like grey. Take a listen.
That's great.
That's great.
Now the way he says one or someone
Talking to someone
is not with the sound like I say it. Now we get on to the word that was at the beginning of the video, and I said, how do you pronounce this word? So here we go. Let's listen to Paul say it.
I love about that song. I love about that song.
Yes, he says it the classic, let's say, northern way, which is to say love, love, I say love. Key word in Beatles songs, I think, is this word love or love. Okay, so trick 4 is Paul's love of different accents. Now, I've been watching the amazing Get Back video featuring the Beatles from the 1969 preparation to the final concert on the rooftop, and there's hours of footage, so it's amazing to watch. And you can see that John and Paul especially have this banter quite often in different accents. So they love playing around with accents. And I think this trick is Paul's love of different accents. I mean, if you love accents, if you love speaking and all of that, it really helps you to get a good accent, because then he clearly has an ability to say different accents, but most of the time they love mimicking the American accent. So that is really key. Try mimicking other accents and the one you're aiming for will probably greatly improve too. Trick 5 is Paul's intonation. Now, the Scouse accent is very highly intonated. In other words, it goes up and down, very melodic. Paul is especially melodic in the way he speaks. I mean, when you hear him say, "Oh, that's great, that's great,
That's great.
you know, he has to express, he loves expressing things in his own way. And I think his intonation is one of the key things to how he expresses himself. Okay, now moving on to trick 6, the influences. Let's call this now and then. The question is, has his accent changed? It's quite a tricky one to actually work out, but I have been studying quite a few different films and interviews and stuff, and there's subtle changes. For example, I mean, in his voice has got a bit deeper, and his voice is a bit more crackly now, I think due to age and to constant singing.
Harold Arlen, Hoagie Carmichael.
But as far as the basic accent, I think it's pretty much the same. I mean, he has lived in the south of England for a long time. He doesn't live in Liverpool anymore. And in fact, this is a really interesting thing I worked out. He has a farm about 30 miles from where I grew up, which is about 30 miles from where Mick Jagger grew up. So get this, theoretically, I'm in a Jagger and McCartney sandwich. Sort of. Okay, anyway, let's just let it be. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope the tricks were useful for you to use in your accent, whatever accent you're aiming for, or to make you the person you are by speaking in your accent. And remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos on accents, especially British accents. And finally, I'm addicted to collecting Beatles records, but there's one missing. I think I need help.